Hello folks, I am back with my shooting impressions of the Smith & Wesson M&P 45 Shield Performance Center M2.0. And in one word, damn. This is a really good fine shooter and a very good firearm for defensive shooting. My previous video, I kind of haphazardly did that video and I made a few mistakes on that video. So one major correction that I want to do right now is I said that there was a loaded chamber indicator on the extractor. I'm just so used to firearms that have that red indicator on the extractor. Actually, on the Smith & Wessons, everybody knows the loaded chamber indicator is at the top. So when you do a press check, or you can see the brass when around is chambered in there. So that was the first mistake. I don't know if there were any others. I might have said a couple things wrong. So I just wanted to clear that up right away. Also, I'm just going to say that this is a very, very fine shooting firearm. It really is. And I was really surprised. And one of the reasons why I like this particular firearm is because we don't give 45 caliber striker firearms any love. We always are into the 9mm or something like that, but the 45 striker firearms have not been getting enough love lately. And I understand it's about economics, because people it's cheaper to shoot 9mm ammo. So let's get on with the point. One of the other things that I missed, I wanted to, it's just really minor, but I've noticed that where this this sight, where the sight is held, usually when they have fiber optic sights, you might see the entire fiber optic. But it looked like somebody did some really good artwork and took their time to design. I don't know if you can see how it is designed at the top there. I'm going to try to focus in the way it's designed there, and especially in the back. So it looked like somebody really took their time to design it to match the slide serrations here. Regarding the slide serrations, I actually tried to press check this, and it does give some good purchase on here, but most people would like full slide serrations like it is on that side. Real quickly, there were no malfunctions. Actually, when I first fired this, I normally like to lube my firearms before I fire them for the first time, and I forgot. And then in the previous video, you saw how dry it was. So I shot 50 rounds and realized that I didn't lube this up. So it still performed flawlessly. So I took it apart, lubed it while I was at the range, and it still shot great. One of the other things is it's like I said, it's a really good shooting firearm. I was using ammo called Celler and Balat. I believe that's the way it's pronounced, 230 grain. And this particular ammo, it shoots pretty well. It depends on some of my firearms are pretty finicky with that ammo, but this shot pretty well. Now, I don't know if you notice as I've been turning, this particular ammo, it always leaves some type of scratch or abrasion on the firearm as it exits. I don't know if it's the firearm's issue when it extracts around or whatnot, or maybe it's with that ammo. I can't really say. But notice right here, then this the slide is a stainless steel slide, but it's supposed to have their Armor-Lite coating on it, and this is what Smith & Wesson's coating is. And right here, you'll notice when the firearm was extracting the casings, it hit right here. Excuse me. It hit right here, and that's why there's a little mark there. I'll have to clean it up later. Hopefully, I've been rubbing on it, but it looks like that little indentation, that little mark is there. Also on this side, you notice another little mark here, right above the word shield at the end of the letters, between the letters D, L and D. Now there's a little mark right there. Now, I'm going to try to zoom that in a little closer. That's what you can see right there. It's not as pronounced as the other side, but this was a casing that when it discharged the casing went to my right. Now, this firearm does have strong ejection, so that's not the issue. None of the casings hit me in the face. But the way the booth was set up, it's padded on the right side, so it bounced off and then went on the other side of the booth where the sidewall of the booth where it's padded again, and it bounced and it then hit over here. So that's how that little mark got there. And I was looking at the ejection patterns and everything was fine, but I didn't really notice this until like after, I would say 50 rounds, when I went to take this apart to lube it, and that's when I first noticed. The other part is usually when you have a firearm with ported barrels, you will see a little bit of like where the powder burns out or the gases come out. You'll see that. And there's a little, I'm trying to zoom it in, but you can see that it looks like there's little wear marks. Now, I'm not overly concerned with wear marks so much. Right here, this is where I'm talking about. I'm not overly concerned about wear marks because the firearm was made to be shot, and they're supposed to withstand rigors of shooting and so forth. Anytime you're dealing with a barrel, it's not going to stay, pristine. You might get those little smiley face rings or across the barrel. That's going to happen. But these firearms will probably outlast us. But yeah, this is those were the only two things that I noticed on here. One other thing I want to show a quick comparison. By the way, the firearm is not loaded. It's here for aesthetics. Well, I might as well leave that out. And I'm going to bring in my Glock 30. My Glock 30 is my favorite carry 45. And I carry this a lot. But the thing about it is, in the summer months, I really don't carry it because it's a little girthy. And its thickness up top makes it a little hard for me to carry a lot of times in the summer. Now, comparing these two, as you see, it's the Smith & Wesson is slightly, to me, it's a little slightly thinner. It's thinner. For some reason, this feels much thicker when I have this holstered. But I put this in a holster, which I'll talk about holsters in a moment. It just felt like there was no problem. Its girthiness, I think, you could feel the difference with the girthiness, and of course you can, because you look at this with the single stack versus a double stack. So, and their lengths are not that far off. So this is why I like this firearm, because its size and so forth. One of the other things that I think while you're shooting, when you have this particular magazine in, this gives you a very good purchase. This is the 7-round magazine, and this will give you very good purchase when you're firing. But when you have the backup magazine, or if a lot of people will sometimes use this for extra concealment with this the smaller one, which is a 6-round magazine. Even though I can grip here and my pinky's there, I caught myself sometimes holding it like this. And a lot of times when you'll notice a difference when you're firing, that this firearm, it's not that you have less control, but you can feel the difference between this magazine being in and this magazine being in, because you have to you got to concentrate a little more and tighten your grip up. And it's not a bad thing. It's just really something that I noticed. It's nothing against the firearm itself. One of the other things is the trigger. One of the things about the trigger is that I think with this, I don't like the hook. I never liked the hook, and this is why I always hated the first version. But because of the way the firearm is made, you hear the click and the reset. Now, before I purchased this, they had another M&P Shield 45. It was the regular one. This trigger on the Performance Center one is a lot better. But I think in any case of any of their firearms, I think they should have the trigger a little flatter. Like, and I'm sorry I didn't even bring my my 509, my FN 509. The FN 509's trigger seems to be a little flatter instead of an exaggerated hook here. And when I first had my earlier M&P, it seemed like you could break this, but that's not true. It's not going to break, but it just seems that flimsy. This is made a little different, a little better. So I really like the way this trigger works. This trigger is really, really outstanding. I'm really surprised. It's a very good upgrade. I'm not saying it's better than the CZ P10 trigger, but this is a big improvement from their previous generations. Okay, we're here with my first 50 shots, and this was shot roughly in, I would say, about 7 yards. Since this is pretty much a defensive firearm, I just did a 7-yard shooting, trying to get myself adjusted to the sights. And sometimes if I lacked my trigger control, I shot right here, but I was trying to zero in, and my sight picture was a little bit too low, so I should have raised my sight picture a little better. Again, this is a little bit further, maybe about 8 yards. I just moved it up a little bit to check out my distance in shooting, see how accurate it was. Again, I had to raise the sight picture up and was able to have my shots a little bit centered, and that's what I'm very proud of. I'm proud of how this firearm shoots. Bringing in the next target. Sorry about that. This is at 10 yards, 12 yards. Again, this is all trigger issues. Over here, there was some trigger issues where I was trying to figure out my finger placement. Like, again, I'm just trying to figure out the hinge trigger. Like I said, the FN, I like that hinge trigger better. But its reset was very good. It enabled me to get these shots right in the X-ring here. And trying to push it out at distance, like I said, I have a smaller range. I'm somewhere between 10 and 15. And I'm trying to, again, as usual, trying to get the sight picture, moving it up. That was a trigger issue, obviously. So, all in all, I'm very pleased with the results of this firearm. Well, normally I would like to, my normal carry ammo is, I usually carry like a 230 grain Federal HSTs. That's my favorite carry round. I usually use that, but I decided to try something new recently, and that's what you see here. This is Sig Sauer Elite Performance Full Metal Jacket ammunition. This is what I carry, that I'm going to switch to carrying for concealed carry and so forth. So this is pretty much of a upgrade to my my ammunition. But the one downer that it's not so much a downer, I shouldn't say that. The problem, once I got the firearm, the problem I had was holsters. I've been online looking at holsters. Some of the holsters I didn't like. Some of them were those multi holsters. I want something that exactly matches up. And if you're saying why don't you use a Shield 9mm or a 40 caliber one, it will not fit. I tried it at the store, and it's because of the slide is slightly bigger, and when you put it in the holster, it won't sometimes reach where the trigger guard is. So the dimensions are slightly a little different. So that's why it was hard for me to actually find a holster for it. So I will be scouring the net again. And I was lucky that I did have a holster from Galco. And this holster is... it's a really decent holster. It's actually made for various other firearms. The holster is a Galco holster. I'm trying to get the model number, and I'm just going to let you see it right here. This is the Galco holster here. It is for various different firearms. I originally bought this for my a P220, but as you see here are the other holster of the other firearms it can take. So I took a chance on figuring if this holster would work, and it actually does. It's a leather holster. I'm sorry if I'm muzzling you, but this is enough space here. It's not too long in the front. And I've tried it on, and I wore it temporarily just to see how it would work. Here's the model number on the back in case anybody's interested. If you have a Shield 45, this is the model number, and if you're interested in picking this up, you go to Galco's website. Like I said, I still need to do some looking around to find the exact holster for this, because I actually wanted a Kydex holster for this firearm, even though this is a leather one. This is going to have to do until I search for a Kydex holster. But yes, like I said, I'm very, very pleased with this firearm. Guys, get yourself a 45 that's a striker fire. I mean, please give some love to these firearms. These are really good firearms, and I have nothing but positive things to say about this firearm. Like I said, the only issue that I saw with that is with the holster, and just little minor dings here. I can probably clean that up. So outside of that, folks, happy shooting. Stay safe. #2A. Take care, folks.